chosen.
Well, welcome everybody. I want to just talk to you all individually, say what's up. You all did it kind of briefly. I'm gonna start with Candace this time because Candace, I don't think we've met like officially. So I know you're in Atlanta. Just tell me a little bit about you and why you're here.
Yeah, so I'm based in Atlanta, but I'm originally from Detroit, Michigan, East
What up,
Side. And
though?
what up, Doe?
What up, though?
Come on, what up, Doe? So, East Side of Detroit, raised by a single mom, addicted to crack cocaine. She raised 7 kids, 2 girls, 5 boys, and it was just all about surviving. So I'm your sister who been through it all, who picked herself up by whatever bootstraps, whatever scraps that I could to get to where I am today. Whether that's going to college, graduating, corporate, senior management, entrepreneurship, ministry, business. Like I've lived all the different things. So I'm just excited to pour my story of, how God has kept me through all the different journeys and all the different seasons, to inspire so many and get excited about all the things that is in store for all of us. So yeah, it's an honor and a privilege to be here tonight. I'm a speaker and a coach, so my goal is to work with high performing women and how to find peace, showing them how to find peace in the midst of their chaos. So I work in ministry, business, entrepreneurship, work with speakers, just women in all type of high pressure situations.
That's
That's it.
awesome. Well,
Mm-hmm.
pleasure to have you. I'm glad you're here. I'm gonna pass the mic to Dr. Bounds. Dr. Don Bounds, thank you for coming back again. Um, People may know your story, but if not, just tell them why you're here and a little bit about yourself really quickly as well.
Yeah, for sure. It's good to be back with you talking about mental health and being unstoppable. I'm Dawn Bounds. I am an associate professor at UC Irvine in the School of Nursing. I'm also the founding director of the Centering Youth and Families for Empowerment Lab, where we do community engaged research. A lot of that work is with young people and their families, promoting their mental health, preventing risky behavior and really addressing adversity and trauma and how we experience that and how we need to support one another through that.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you, Dr. Bounds.
Yes.
We also have Dr. Kalaki Clark. Dr. Clark, would you please give us a little info on yourself and why you're here as well?
Yes, good evening. I'm Dr. Kalaki Clark, board certified family physician, and not yet into the position yet, but a director of clinical integration, continuity, and education for Health Matters Clinic. And I'm just a hope dealer. That's what I call myself.
I
I've
like that.
experienced some yeah,
I
I'm a hope
like
dealer,
that.
and hope
Okay.
stands for hold on, pain ends. That's what I say. And hold on, pain ends. I don't know where that came from. I didn't make it up, but I don't know where it came from. And so I have, that's one of my missions in life. My goal also is to erase the stigma of mental illness, for everyone, not just for me, but for everyone. And I say me because I also want to erase the stigma of mental illness within the healthcare profession, because
Yes.
physicians are the number one profession to die by suicide. One doctor dies by suicide every single day. And so I have a testimony for being here 20 years after I tried to take my own life. So my thing is, if I can do it, you can do it. Help is available. Hope is not gone. And my goal is also just promote overall wellness of spirit, soul, and body of everybody I meet. And I'm glad to be here to deliver hope.
That's awesome. Thank you, Dr. Clark. And last but not least is a good friend of mine, man. And I'm gonna let you, introduce yourself one more time, but if you could just tell the folks who you are and a little bit about who you are and what you are real fast.
What up? What up? What up, y'all? My name is Etienne Maurice. I'm the founder and executive director of Walk Good LA. Walk Good is actually a Jamaican euphemism that my grandmother would tell me every time I would leave her home. She would always be like, "Walk good, Etienne." Being of Jamaican descent, Walk Good uh, gave new meaning and took new life when we were able to build not only a moment but a movement. And so now we have our own studio space, the Walk Good Yard here in Los Angeles, California, where we offer fully donation-based yoga and mindfulness meditation classes.
This is about transformation, and I just want to talk to you about what that felt like. And I'm gonna talk to you all individually too, because I've heard stories from possible suicidal thoughts, just depression overall. So we're going to get into these stories. So please lean into what got you all to transform into who you are now. So Etienne, since we're talking, can you kind of give me some insight into just like one of your lowest moments of just overall in your personal life, and where did you find the strength and power to start to reclaim that, to change it?
Yeah. So my backstory for me, I'm a filmmaker, I'm an actor, and that's what I thought my life was going to be, right? I thought I was just going to, sell a TV show. I was going to audition, and then I was going to, get a job somewhere. But I think God had other plans for me. And that was during the time of 2020, where all of us had a major reset, but we were also living in this weird dystopian future, is what I've been calling it, where we were sitting in our homes, not being able to leave our homes, but watching Black folks being killed violently on our phones while at home, and us not understanding or not knowing whether we should like go out and fight or stay home. And so I went out, I took the streets, but I found I evolved, I grew by doing something that I thought I'd never be able to do, and that was build community. Um, and I was able, because I wasn't a yogi, y'all. Like when I started Walk Good, I didn't do yoga. I thought Lululemon was a fruit. I wasn't participating in wellness activities like that. I was just running here and there and going to the gym. But when I started taking yoga classes with my cousin, my co-founder of Walk Good, and I started doing it in community of people who look like me, and having facilitators and yoga instructors who look like me, it was just like this whole different experience that I just did not know existed until we were building it. And so while I was on my mat, I realized, oh, there's a lot of things that I haven't dealt with that I thought I dealt with. What has inspired or was really empowered me to continue to do this work is I'm a gun violence survivor. 13 years ago, I was shot in Philadelphia, twice in my leg, grazed bullet over my eyebrow. And 11 months prior to that, I was suffering substance abuse. I had a DUI, drove my car into a tree. Uh, I I suffered a traumatic brain injury. I had microscopic hemorrhaging on my left lobe of my brain, and I was manic. I was manic for a few months. I was in the psych ward. I was placed on a psychiatric hold for 72 hours. But the beautiful thing about it is that I survived. I was able to kind of learn my lessons through these traumatic instances. And when I realized the gift that was Walk Good and the platform that I had with Walk Good, I realized that I could be an example for other young men or other people that might be experiencing similar struggles that I was experiencing, and have the tools and the resources and the vocabulary to be able to process, but also to be able to seek hope. Like I love what Dr. Clark was sharing in being a hope dealer, and acknowledging that the pain is going to end. But I think the beautiful thing about mindfulness and mental health is that we all have to acknowledge that pain and be and not hold shame around that pain. Uh,
Man,
if you're going to be able that we're all that's pain is something that we're all going to experience. Like we've all experienced pain at some point in our lives, whether it was spiritual, whether it was physical, whether it was emotional. But many of us never had the tools to be able to process that pain. So once you're able to process it, pinpoint it, acknowledge it, and move from it, I think that's how growth happens. And I was able to find that growth through my wellness practice, through my spiritual practice, and also knowing that wellness isn't a replacement for anybody's healing, right? Like you still got to go to the doctor, you still got to go to church, or you still got to have a spiritual practice that is going to help you in all parts of your being. And I think when we talk about healing and we talk about our well-being as Black people, we've been conditioned to believe that healing is a one size fits all, and that there is a hierarchy to our healing journey when that is the farthest thing from the truth. The truth is it's all encompassing, and we have to figure out what works for us while not judging someone for their practice. And I think for me in my own journey, I've been able to use my personal experience while also taking the knowledge and information from people who are who are way more knowledgeable than I am. I look at what we do with Walk Good as a communal cultural experience, and then we partner with clinical practitioners to give us the clinical side that is just as important of the healing work. So yeah, man, thank you for allowing me to share really what has brought me to doing this work, because it has changed my life, and I continue, and I wear the Walk Good badge with a pride and with honor. So thank you.
I appreciate you. And we just really getting started. So I appreciate you for just telling us about your journey and Walk Good. But we're going to come back into how you stay in that mindset once you decide that this is going to be your path. But I do appreciate you for opening and sharing. So I'm gonna open this up to. I feel like I'm a teacher calling on students right now. I want to talk to Dr. Clark for a second, if it's okay. Just and and I don't want it to be too long-winded because I want to get to everybody so they can tell their own stories about things. But how did you get through that darkness? How did you transform yourself into coming back into the light and saying like, "Hey, I'm in a real dark place. I can't be here." How did you transform? How did you take that power back when you
Oh
felt like
goodness.
maybe you had no power?
Oh, so here's the thing. Like you touched upon, you have to address all areas, your spirit, your soul, and your body. What happened with me was I was so burnt out. My physical body was burnt out because I wasn't eating, I wasn't sleeping. I just started residency, and that's really intense, 80-hour work days. Um, not yeah, not work days, work weeks, right? And no sleep, no eating. And so since your physical body is connected to your brain has to eat, right? You need energy to eat. And with repetitive those kind of behaviors or actions rather, I just kind of felt worn out and useless. And as a physician, we have to use our brains, right, to help other people. So I got to the point where I felt like I was of no use. And so since I spent all my whole life working towards this goal of being a doctor, and I get to it and I feel like I can't do it, it was like, what's the purpose? What's the point? I said, God, you told me to do this. What's going on? Eventually, I realized he had a plan for me. I learned that he was the only one that allowed me to even get to that point, and he was the one who got me through it. So my spirit was still alive, although my physical body and my soul had died essentially. But the spirit of God in me kept me here because I had a purpose. And when I fast forward to even now, I see part of that purpose is, like I said, dealing hope. Because when you don't want to live or you're in suicidal, it's two things. You can't hope and you don't know how to cope. Can't hope and you can't cope. So over time, what I've done is gather the coping skills. And he's my hope. I say
Right.
there's three things that keep me going, all right, for my spirit, soul, and body: Jesus, gratitude practice, and medication. Medication for the body because chemicals in the brain, if they're not like serotonin, if it's not enough there to keep you going, it could be low. I can love Jesus all I want, which I do. But if I neglect a part of my body that's just not working right because we're flesh, because of pride or whatever anyone's going to think, I'm not going to function. And just to wrap it up, so that I don't want to monopolize time, it's helpful because I share with patients, and I told you this last week, I show my wounds so that people can know that wounds heal. That's why I share. You're a doctor. Why? Yeah, I'm gonna still be a doctor if I share it or not share it, right? And what I'll do is relate to people so that they don't feel like they're weird. So many people are hiding behind their sickness or whatever's going on because of people and pride. But you're the only one living in your body. You're the one day by day going about your business, right? You know what works for you. And so my goal, my focus is stay focused on the Lord, encourage other people, deal hope as best as I can, and stay connected. Just stay connected. Like I said yesterday or last week, rather, I also said even I in illness becomes wellness when you add a we. right? That's what Malcolm X said. So anyway, the I wellness becomes wellness. We add we. So we have to work together. We have to like connect with each other. You can I illness, you can die by yourself, right? But you need we to be well. So I stay
Come on.
connected.
Come on with the slogans, Dr. Clark. I like that. I like that. I like that. I also like the fact that you said that you're vulnerable with your patients. Like I like a pastor who's been through some things. I don't want nobody who's just like I'm with the perfect life. I want the person who's out there who was Saul, right? I mean, who was which one came first? Was it Paul or Saul? What- Nobody knows. Okay,
Saul.
what?
Saul. It was
Huh?
Saul.
It was Saul, and then he became Paul. I'm
All
saying, but
transformed to Paul.
like he was in the club. Jesus took him out the club, and then he became Paul, right? So like that's what I need in my life is people. That's why me and Etienne, I feel like we bonded so much, man, when we were just walking on that track one day talking about life. And I'll be transparent too. It's something that I have been transforming my life is my relationship with drinking. You know, and I have to be honest about that because as an artist and creative, there's always been something has been a part of a struggle. Like, you know, we are constantly chasing this carrot of opportunities, and when you don't feel like you're getting what you deserve, you can get depressed, and then it's easy because to everything is around you when you're in entertainment, whether it's alcohol, whether it's drugs. Somebody just tried to give me some mushrooms the other day and was like, "Hey man, this is what you need." I'm like, I'm not doing this, bro. This looks nasty. This look like toenail clippings that you just gave me in the bag. I don't want this, right? But the point is that it's all out there, right? And you have to be able to discern what is going to be what you need to do. So I've been very happy about my transformation around alcohol for like the last year. It was something I felt like I needed every day. Then it got to a point when I was like, I don't want this at all. But now I feel like after even so many months on that path, I'm like, I don't necessarily want this either, where it's just like all or nothing. But I have to find a very like disciplined path of how I want it to be. And I feel like I've gotten that balance where I feel like I'm not going to do anything that I would have to hide from somebody else. So if I want to have a drink socially around my wife, we just did that for the first time last week. I've never felt so much joy in a space from the fact that we just shared a glass of wine together, right? But it's not me having drinks before that glass of wine, and then now I have the glass of wine on top of the drink. So now she's like, "Why are you acting so funny?" Because I've had four drinks already, right? So it's about finding a real healthy transformation to be in a space where you don't do the things that you shouldn't be doing. And I'm sorry that I jumped in. I know I'm supposed to be the host and talking to y'all, but I just want to share that point with y'all real fast. Um, Candace, I know you shared us with us a powerful story how you are one of was it seven children, and you know your mom dealt with substance issues, right? So
Absolutely. Absolutely.
at one point, did you feel like, all right, I might just be another part of the system because I'm not coming from an area of support? And how did you change that?
Yeah, no, that is a great question. So, like I said at the beginning, my mom, grew up east side of Detroit, 7 kids. I know it's a cliche, like we, of course, heard gunshots, but we even took it further. Like, I had the dope house right next door. So I saw all my neighbors get murdered, with two little babies in the house, right? The babies were the only survivors. And it just got to the point for me where I said, you know what, I'm not going to let this be my reality. And in the first opportunity that I had, because when you're a kid, you don't have any control. And so I love to speak to the people who don't feel like they can control. Because when you're an adult, you have a certain level of like freedom. You can make a certain level of decisions. But when you're a child, or even when you're an adult and you don't have as much access, you feel like, man, life is happening to me and I don't have any control here. And so I remember going to high school, and neighborhood high school in the city of Detroit is absolute chaos. I feel like I went to school in a war zone.
What school did you go to?
Persian high school, east
Oh,
side.
okay. I mean, I know like Cass and
Yeah,
King, and you
I,
know.
Yes, Dave, I'm so glad that you said that because, yeah, I didn't get into one of those schools. So, Cass, King, Renaissance, those are the top schools of Detroit. So, if you went there, chef kiss, great education, great exposure. But for me, I was on the east side in Detroit. My high school mascot was called the Doughboys. So, just imagine, like, growing up, drug dealing,
The
seeing all
Dope
that.
Boys?
Doughboys, like literally doughboys. It's a
Oh,
it's a story. I have to tell you offline about what the story
okay.
is, but
Okay.
but it was the doughboys. And I remember leaving school after my first maybe 2 days, after seeing the cops at my school every single day, seeing them mace kids, seeing kids get jumped on, seeing kids get arrested, seeing kids. One of my a fellow ninth grader boys, I saw him pretty much get jumped to the point where he's gonna like lose his life. It's like blood
Mm.
all over the sidewalk. And I went home and I said, Mom, I can't go here anymore. Like I cannot go back into that school. I don't think I'm gonna be able to survive that environment. And my mom looked at me straight in the eyes and said, Candace, there's nothing I can do. Like, if you're going to go to school, this is the school. I don't have any resources to put you in another school. Even if you got accepted into another school, I don't have the travel, the money, the gas money, the car, anything that would allow you to be able to go into a different environment. And so in that moment, I was like, okay, I know what I'm being told, but I'm not going to accept that as my reality. There has to be something good here in this environment that I'm not seeing. And so I love hearing Etienne talk. I love hearing Dr. Clark talk. It's like, hey, there's even in the midst of the chaos, there's something good. So I was able to go back into that school and change my lens about the experience. Like, yeah, I know if I follow the traditional path, I might not be able to make it out, but I'm going to make a certain decisions. Even if there's one opportunity, even if it's one program. And that's why I'm so excited about what you guys are doing here, is because this programs like this is what made the transformation for me. I wish I could say it was all Candace's idea and I put my whole life on my back and I said, I'm just going to do what I got to do. No, it was, oh, wow, I'm looking, I'm searching for anything, anyone in an organization like this pops up, or a person pops up, somebody that I can connect with. And from there, it just keeps building on something else that's more positive. So for me, it's not settling, changing my lens, being intentional about finding the good. And once I find it, I just hold on to it. Like if I'm a person in the audience on YouTube watching this Unstoppable experience, I'm like, hey, how do I be a part of Health Miners Clinic? How do I get in contact with the people that was on this panel? Because I need to hold on to the goodness that they're giving out on this call. So that was my journey, Dave.
No, that's not easy. That's not easy at all to be, because first of all, to be intentional is to make a choice. And then you have to be patient to let that work kind of like trickle down and take effect. So I applaud you. I applaud everybody here on this panel about just their answers. Dr. Brown, we're going to get to you in a second. I know we chopped it up a lot last week, but I got some stuff for you more specific in a little bit. So don't feel like I'm neglecting you at all. I have not forgot about you. We're gonna come back to you in a second. So we're gonna keep that there. But let's keep this segue going with this conversation with you, Candace, because you said something about intentionality, and that's cool because everyone loves a story of a strong black woman making a choice to get herself out of, or a strong black man, but at the end of the day, let's be real. People are tired, or they feel like they don't have the energy to pull themselves up by them bootstraps, or even feel like they have the like it's going to make a difference if they try, like a level of hope, right? So how do we just address the pressure of being vulnerable as black people? I can only speak from a men's perspective. And I was just watching this podcast today with Mel Robbins, and she had this black gentleman on. His name is Jane. I can't think of what his last name was right now. It escapes me. But the podcast was how black men suffer in silence because we are just too, you know, it's not cool to emote and do the things that require healing and transformation. So we just kind of, or we get told by women that it's just like soft or
Mm-hmm.
sensitive or emotional for you to be doing this type of stuff. So I'm going to put this question out for all of you all to kind of answer. How do you deal with the pressure of mental health when it is not something that is prioritized a lot of times in our community? And as the stereotype is that we just have to deal with it as men and women in Black communities.
Yeah, so this is the thing that anybody close to me is going to learn about me if I don't do it if it doesn't work. So I don't do it if it doesn't work. So I don't care what the stereotype is. I don't care what the tradition has been. I don't care because it's not working for me. So so that's my thing is I've been underneath the pressure, and what I realize is that I can't, the weight is too heavy. I can't carry it. So if and I tried. So I think to me it's like I'm not saying it doesn't work because I looked at it and I assessed, oh, that it didn't work. It doesn't work because I tried it and it didn't work. Does that make sense? I tried it. I went down that path. I went down the path of being silent. I went down the path of not taking care of myself, and it didn't work. So now it's like, hey, I frankly do not care about what anybody else says or what anybody has going on because I need to make my life work for me. So I'm going to make whatever adjustments that I need to make. I'm going to communicate however I need to communicate so that I can enjoy my life because I deserve that. So I think for me, it's almost like, hey, I have to make a safe space for Candace. Even somebody asked me the other day, like, Candace, do you feel emotionally safe when we're together? And I said, okay, be careful, because the answer is yes. Like, I do feel emotionally safe with you, but it's not because of you, it's because of me. I've created a safe space around myself so that I can show up and be whoever it is that I need to be in that moment that I'm in. So for me is I don't do what doesn't work. So all the stereotypes, all the whatever people are saying, I'll roll with you. I'll do the traditions. I'll fit into the whatever box that you created. If the box is working and you're enjoying your experience there, but I'm not just going with it because that's just something people say or do. So for me, it's create that safe space with you, getting to understand yourself, what works for you, and being unapologetic about your joy and about your experience. So that's, Dave, how I've been able to navigate it is, yes, I've went down the stereotypes. I've put everything on my back and it didn't work. I broke underneath that pressure. So I'm like, hey, that pressure doesn't work. That living in silence doesn't work. That spirit of isolation, it doesn't work. So if it doesn't work, why do we keep doing it? And so I'm just the one that's going to challenge it.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing that, Candace. And I do want to just acknowledge some of the questions that we had for both you and Etienne. So we'll just go ahead and start with you. Keisha is asking, when you don't have a roadmap, when nobody around you has done what you're trying to do, where do you even start? How did you even start? And then, secondly, what do you wish people understood about what it actually costs to keep excelling when you came from nothing?
All right.
Okay, go ahead.
Are you talking about asking me the question? Okay, it's something that I just literally made a post about yesterday, or the day before yesterday. Leadership, very lonely. The part of leadership and running a business, running a nonprofit, uh, people don't talk about the extreme loneliness you will experience because you are the person who has to carry that vision, has to hold that vision when nobody sees it. I I would be a millionaire if I had a penny for every time somebody uh, asked me what Walk Good was, what it was going to be, uh, why was it needed, and it was developing a routine and showing people that it was needed. It was, I didn't have to prove myself to anybody because our programs are growing. We went from 35 people in a park to now on average we have 300, 400 Black and brown folks doing yoga, getting chiropractic adjustments, experiencing sound baths, meditating every last Sunday of the month. So the proof is there, but now we have to be able to quantify the impact. And now that might be a silly thing to be able to have to do that. But in order to achieve those grants, you have to show the data to prove that said programs are working. So back to my point of loneliness in leadership, you are the one that's signing off the check. You are the one that is filling out those forms. You are the one that holds responsibility of that vision. And that's a lot to carry. It is a tremendous load to carry. But God gave you that gift. God gave you that platform. The universe, whatever you believe in, gave you that gift. And it is your responsibility to carry it. And so it might not work one direction, but your spirit has to be open to be able to navigate a new path. Because at the end of the day, you have to hold yourself accountable. There are going to be so many blind spots along your road where you're going to be down on yourself and you're going to be really frustrated and you're going to be saying to yourself, well, why can't they see it my way? The reality is it's not their responsibility to see it your way. It's your responsibility to make sure that you hold steadfast in your vision, in your mission, in your movement, in your business. And you have to see it through no matter what. And know that if you don't have the person that you wish was by your side along the journey, know that there's somebody upstairs guiding you, protecting you, because prayer does work. And when in those moments of loneliness and isolation, you have to remind yourself that that is only preparing you and that is only protecting you from whatever harm that might come your way, because you were quiet, you were still, and you sought clarity to be able to carry out the vision that was set out for you. So that's a little bit of a word that I'm going to give to anybody who is is being frustrated by the load that they have to carry in a vision that nobody else sees but you.
Absolutely. Candace, do you want to just jump in and just talk about what that feels like in an environment where it's, stacked against them? What's one thing that actually helped you take the first step or move the needle as far as being successful?
Yeah, so the beautiful thing about it is you don't have to have the full picture. As you know, that's how your question was set up. It's just one step, right? So you got to allow one step to beget the next step in faith. So if you're in an environment where you don't know, you have an opportunity. You have different social media. Social media wasn't is, and I'm not saying go to social media and just overconsume, but it has to be at least one person. So I would say there's people who have mentored me that I've never actually been in the same room with, right? So if you can't get into the rooms with certain people, there's people online, there's people that you can look up to, and you can glean wisdom in your next step from them from afar, right? And as you take that next step, I believe, and it's like I don't even know what's deeper than belief, because I hold belief really high, but I know without a shadow of a doubt, as you take that one step in that right direction, and you're faithful, that's the key. Your next opportunity is your current opportunity. So as you're faithful over the current opportunity in the current environments that you're in, the next environment will create for itself. So what did that look like for me? Okay, I was faithful in high school. I was faithful to that mentor. I went to college, faithful there, went into corporate, faithful there, and everything just began to evolve. Even after I left corporate, it was because my faithfulness and things that I had did in the past, doors were open for me. Does that make sense? So it's just like, hey, take your whatever your current environment is, you have to be honest with yourself. Have I made the most out of this environment, have I poured, have I served, have I showed up, have I tapped every resource here? And then the next thing will open up. So that's the main thing, is being faithful and acknowledging the good where you already are, and then the next door will open. So that is how I look at it, Erica.
Thank you, Candace. Thank you, and thank you, Etienne, as well for just these stories. I think you people get beat up so much in life. So to hear just stories about how you all took the reins instead of just giving up to actual make transformations is really beautiful, man. And I want to actually segue this conversation into a point where we actually talk to our doctor experts about what that transformation looks like. So at this point, I want to open this up to Dr. Clark, Dr. Bounds, about, how do we kind of got into this a little bit last week at the healing conversation, but how can we physically, like scientifically, it might not be just be physical, it could be wellness, metaphysics, whatever you say it is. But how can we really get into spaces where we can see the effects of transformation, and what does that look like in our bodies and minds?
Um, Dr. Bounds, because I don't want to monopolize, and I can talk after if it's okay.
Yeah, of course, of course. I can get started. I think the examples that have been shared is exactly where it's at, right? Like, and one of the things that we talked about last week was living in truth. And what was talked about today was that acknowledgement. What works for me? What doesn't work for me? You have to have that self-awareness first and foremost. You have to have self-awareness to even understand I'm in a place that I don't want to be and I want to make a change. I want to make something different. So, first things first is really just about being honest with yourself, and as Candace mentioned, actually creating safety around you. So hopefully you're in spaces that can be honest and give you honest feedback as well. As I mentioned earlier today, I was in therapy and had a moment of revelation because I was able to create a relationship with a therapist who's able to be honest with me and reflect back to me and help me see the things that I need to move the needle on. So that would be the first thing, is that truth and that honesty and that self-awareness. The second thing that I heard mentioned today, which is again spot on, is mindset. We have to pay attention to our mindset. We have to pay attention to what society is creating around us, because there's a lot of things that have been planted in us that are misleading and have been misdirected. And I hear a lot of folks of faith and of spirituality on this call. There are a lot of things that I learned about being a good woman, being a good Christian, that actually I now know is misdirection. Self-sacrifice is misdirection, right? But we were taught, many of us were taught, that's how you're a good woman, right? That's how you're a good person. You have to be good to yourself first
Mm.
before you can actually be good and be
That's how you
up.
be a good man too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Absolutely, right? Being a good man means you're going to sacrifice yourself and provide for your family. We're told these messages, but we also have to pick apart the reasons why these messages are given to us. And are they really based in truth? Are they really serving us? Are they serving our community? So I'm really big on like picking all of that apart and figuring out what is going to be best for me first. And that's, I mean, that's my work in progress right now.
Man, thank you, Dr. Bounds, for just always showing that vulnerable side of the help that needs help. You know what I mean? Like we just don't see that a lot of times when it comes to the people that we talk to. And I'm in therapy. I talk to my person, uh, once a week, and one reason why I'm very close with my therapist is he said, I was where you were. I was worse than where you were. And I can show you how to not be there because I was you. And I'm like, man, show me the way. I'm not saying like I'm gonna put you on a pedal and like praise you, but it lets me know that this is not some bullshit right now. You know what I'm saying? Like you've actually been through the fire. So thank you, Dr. Bounds. Dr. Clark.
Yes. Yeah. So I was going to add, I think one way to really track or know, if you're transforming or where that improvement in your growth is happening is keeping track of it essentially. This is really messed up. Just like say from even the medical standpoint, you go to the doctor, your doctor has a record, right? They don't remember everything that's happened to you. They have hundreds of patients. They're not going to remember every detail. So it's kind of like you keeping score of what's your progress is, giving yourself grace and applauding the little things that you do. So for example, if you, used to stay in the bed all day and now you're only staying in bed half the day. It might sound silly or simple, but that is progress. So
Mm,
keeping track of the little things, because once you see that you're doing better, you don't realize it in real time. You'll look back and you'll be appreciative. It'll actually encourage you to keep going. So even for example, if I have a patient and their diabetes is uncontrolled, I show them what their number, the A1C is, and we know the goals are to improve the A1C, to lower it. If I show them what it is now, we talk about the plan on how to improve it with what they're eating, with their medicine compliance, whatever it is. Then when they come back to see me, they're looking forward to know what it is next time to kind of track their transformation from being uncontrolled to being controlled. So kind of like doing your temperature, checking your temperature, being aware, giving yourself credit, keeping a journal. There are things I've written down that I looked at from years ago. I'm like, oh my gosh, that was me. I can't, who was this person? I've
hmm
transformed, but I wouldn't know that in the day to day because you see yourself every day. But if you like, keep track, just you never see someone they look like they've lost weight. You haven't seen them in like a month, but to them, they haven't lost weight because they see themselves every day. So keeping track helps you to kind of, um, actualize or see your transformation happening in real time and just being overall aware and taking your temperature, I would say.
Thank you so much. Um, I'm gonna allow Candace and Etienne if you all want to add anything to that. You don't have to. Before we get ready to close out today's session. Any last minute things that you want to add?
I do have two questions we can probably squeeze in. Kanisha is asking if someone has tried therapy before and it didn't work for them, what would you tell them and where or how do they start again?
Find a new one. Don't give up on just one. It's like you dating. You can't just say, oh, I don't like this person, and then you just be single for the rest of life. Unless you want to be single for the rest of your life. That's your prerogative. But you got to treat it like it's a date. You got to be able to find the person that you identify with, that you might rock with. I had to break my thought around just having a black therapist. Yes, the black therapist is very important for a shared experience, a lived experience that another black person might know and acknowledge. But I tried a white one. The white one was good for that period of time. Now I might need to find a black woman. I've never had a black woman therapist before. I've always had, my first therapist was an old white lady, but then that old white lady, God bless her, may she rest in peace, Dr. Leader. She was my first therapist. She helped me during a very, very dark time in my life, and when I was in elementary school and in high school, and that was my introduction to therapy. But then I got older and I realized, well, maybe there's some other people that I should try out. So I would tell people, if you have the means, if you have the resources, to find one that works for you for that season in your life.
Hmm.
Okay, and we probably have time for one last question. Jason is asking to know more about unstoppable programming and why Dr. Bounds, what inspired Dr. Bounds to create it in the first place.
Wow. Well, I think what ended up happening was Eric and I, Health Matters Clinic and I got introduced to one another, and we were able to get together and talk about how do we bring mental health to the Black community. There is a need to have very real conversations and contextualize the struggles that we were having to our mental wellness. And so Erica bringing that to me, I was like, I would love to be a part of this. I would love to pull out the things that are relevant to us and our community and have these very real conversations because it's important. You know, I think we're at a time right now where people are open to it. They're open to going to therapy right now. They're saying church and therapy, right? Not just one. And so it's a beautiful moment to be able to push this forward so that we can take care of ourselves and so that we can be better.
I'm Erica Robinson, Executive Director of Health Matters Clinic, and this is Unstoppable. Health Matters Clinic brings mental health care from behind the walls and into the community year-round through free walks, workshops, wellness meetups, and digital tools. We give people the signs to watch for, the tools to cope, and the community that reminds them that they are not alone. It's all free to the people who need it because of people like you who choose to give. Your gift doesn't fund an organization. It pulls the next person forward. Support Unstoppable at healthmatters.clinic/donate.